Hello everybody, Mannix here. Got another tabletop knife review for you right here, right now. Feel free to subscribe at the little bell notification if you do not want to miss weekly videos from this channel. Support me on Patreon, link in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Let's get right into this. This is going to be on the Spyderco Zulu. Very, very unique knife. You may or may not be familiar with this one. It is discontinued as I'm filming this in early 2023. It has been for a while now. Not exactly the most popular knife ever, but it was talked about quite a bit when it came out. It is certainly unique. It has its place. I do like the knife and I don't like it at the same time. I don't know. It's just unique. It's very, very unique, and I do think it's interesting. Part of me likes it, part of me doesn't, part of me thinks it's cool, part of me thinks it's ugly. It's a very strange knife, but that's why I got it in the first place, just because it's so unique. Overall length, according to their official website, is 6.875 inches, the handle length being 4 inches, and the blade length being 3.031 inches. Now, if you paid attention, you may realize that that doesn't sound right. 3.031 inch blade with a 4-inch handle would mean a 7.031 inch overall length, but their website is saying 6.875 inches. I don't know where they got that number from. I think they added the cutting edge to the handle rather than the blade in the handle to get that overall length, so that's probably wrong. But who cares? It's just above 7 inches. So I would call this a medium size folder, maybe even medium small, depending on how you look at it. Medium to medium small. S30V blade steel on there. Made in Taiwan. That I believe is the maker's mark of the designer of this knife right there. It doesn't look like Spyderco's usual designs. One thing that's very prominent here is almost the filing type work we have in the G10 handle scale. I think that's very cool. The sculpting, this design right here is really, really cool looking. I love this pattern. I wish more knives used it. It's kind of rare to see it though. You see it on a lot of custom knives, but production folders, it's rare you'll see this type of pattern in the G10. Decently grippy. There is a decent amount of traction here. It's more for aesthetics though, but it's better than having a slick handle if you do not want a slick handle. Pretty aggressively skeletonized steel liners in there too. As you can see, it's like they drilled holes everywhere they almost possibly could. Always nice to see it. It'll shave off maybe 3 ounces or so at the most, 0.2, something like that. You know, it certainly lightens it up a little bit. We're at 3.4 ounces right here. G10's such a dense, heavy material to begin with, though, so that combined with steel liners, skeletonized or not, is going to make it a little bit heavy. Slightly chunky for the length we're getting right here. I do like that. I like the more hand-filling handles, but just keep that in mind. It is a little bit chunky for its length. So 3.4 ounces, you know, it's not a lightweight, but it's not a heavy knife either. It's just somewhere in the middle. It's not a super long knife. It's not a super short knife. It's not super heavy. It's not super light. It's just a very middle ground folder. Now this handle shape's kind of odd. We'll get to the blade in just a moment, but it kind of protrudes out, then gets skinnier again, sort of. Very organic curves on this knife overall. It's very interesting. Kind of reminds me of a little dinosaur or something. I don't know why that's what I'm thinking of. Maybe the dodo. Not the Spyderco dodo, but the actual dodo bird. That's kind of what this knife's making me think of. Decently comfortable like most Spydercos, but I feel a little cramped. I feel like I want just a little bit more. Maybe if I had smaller hands, this would be a little bit more comfortable, but it's just slightly not as comfortable as it could be. Both my middle and index finger want to rest right here, but I feel like I don't have quite enough room there. I feel like I want just a little bit more. Like my middle finger rides up right against this curve right here. I feel like that should be inward, not outward for my size hand. Anyway, I just feel a little cramped. It's not the end of the world, but I wish it was just a little bit longer. But it's okay. Okay ergonomics. There's no jimping. There's no thumb ramp. Thumb just kind of loosely slides around on the spine of the blade right here, which isn't the end of the world. I just kind of wish there was some jimping, but it's okay. Whatever. So okay ergonomics. Let's talk about this blade. It is goofy looking, I know. We have almost a recurve right here. If you look at where the edge starts down there, very, very subtle recurve, but it's kind of not. It's basically like a really extreme drop point. If we remove the spine, this is what's going on with the cutting edge right here. So we have a very extreme upsweep in the belly. It's a very, very scrunched belly on this blade, although we have a lot of belly, which is actually very useful for the typical slicing motion for opening a package or slicing something open. It's actually okay for that. I mean, I know the spine's going to really throw you off. Like, what the hell's going on there? But you get rid of it. That's what we got to cut with. So it's actually completely useful, although the belly is very extreme right there. It's very good for slicing. Okay for piercing. We have kind of a double recurve on the swedge, which is also kind of weird. What's the function behind that? I mean, it's going to certainly strengthen the tip, but you have a very obtuse tip now. But it won't be as heavy or as thick or as obtrusive because we have another cutout right there in the blade, the way the grinding's done. So, interesting blade right there. It's more for aesthetics than function, but at the same time, it's not exactly what I would call a good-looking blade. It's kind of goofy. It's kind of weird. Some people might think it's good-looking in a unique sort of way, and I kind of agree with that, but I kind of don't. That's why I'm just somewhere in the middle on this knife. It's so bizarre. Like, I like it, but I don't like it. I like the sculpting right here. I think that's very good looking, the sculpting. Blade, I think, is kind of good looking, but it's kind of ugly and kind of goofy. It's up sweeping right up here, and then it just, I don't know. I don't know. Ergonomically, it's okay, but it's not great. I do like how it's skeletonized, so it's as light as it could possibly be for the materials it has. Just like all Spydercos, it deploys magnificently. Very, very good deployment on there. Good lockup. It's just a standard liner lock. There's no jimping or anything, but it does actually work okay. We have a nice prominent cutout right here. Not only in the liner, but the G10. So it's actually done very well, too. Pocket clip is an A+, just like all the Spyderco pocket clips are, I think. It's their standard clip design. It actually functions okay despite being on this pattern. Just keep that in mind. It's not going to be the smoothest extraction. Quite a bit poking out of your pocket there. For such a small knife, I would want a loop over or a higher riding clip, but there's a lot. It's wide. There's a lot poking out for such a small knife. That's kind of contradictory to me. This is a very squashed, fat little knife. It's odd. Kind of cramped feeling to it. I wish it was like a little bit longer, but that's not really what they were going for. They're going for something different, more squashed, more wide, I suppose. Not swappable to the left side as far as the clip is concerned, but you can swap it to tip down. If you want it to ride a little lower, actually, you can do that. You can see it rides a little higher when it's tip up. That might be to accommodate that lanyard hole right there if you wanted to use that, which is not inside of any tube. It's not contained. It's literally just two drilled holes, and you'd have to line it up. There's no tube or anything, so it is going to be exposed there. That's kind of sloppy to me. I wish there was a tube, but whatever. Not a big deal. I'm not going to even use it. Don't really care. Almost a 1-to-1 ratio as far as the blade and handle is concerned. It's so close. My finger can actually touch the tip in there. I don't know why this handle's so short. I wish it was just a little bit longer because it's kind of dangerous right there too. So great blade steel. S30V is a very tried and true steel. It's a great choice for this style knife. For such a short knife, that is kind of what you want. You want I say anyway, a harder steel, a steel that's going to retain its edge for longer. So that's a good thing. It's a very high quality blade steel. This retailed at $194.95 back when it was in production. Very, very, very expensive. That's ridiculous. I'm sorry, that's a lot of money for this knife, I think. But these days, if you find one new, they're going to be close to $300 probably. If I use one in good condition, maybe $200 to $250. So despite them being odd ducklings, they are still very expensive if you do find them. They are collectible Spydercos. So if you have a Spyderco collection, this will go really well with it. It's such an odd, bizarre, useful knife, but it's not great. You know, it's not a great tactical blade, although you could flex it into that use. It deploys well. We have okay traction on here. We have just enough reach. Good blade shape, although it looks really weird. It is actually an okay blade shape for slashes, slices, a very, very prominent belly right there. It's all the business is right here. So it's actually an okay blade shape despite it looking so bizarre. And again, because of that 90-degree spider hole, deploys very well. We have a very, very pronounced cutout to get your thumb there. So that's done very well. Despite there being no jimping on either on the spine or the liner lock, it actually functions okay as far as grip is concerned. Carries okay. I mean, the G10's kind of the problem right here, extracting it. Not the end of the world, though. I've definitely seen worse, so it's not too bad. We have a flush portion right here on the G10 where the clip lands on, so that's a nice little touch right there. Spyderco is very good about that. And the pocket clip, it actually looks, it's a different finish. I don't know what it's called, but it's not quite 100% blackened. It's a very, very, very dark gray. It's almost like a gunmetal color. I don't know what they call it, but I really like that color too. It's not ambidextrous. I mean, the hole is, but other than that, the liner lock technically is not, and the pocket clip is not. You can't mount it on the other side. I do like it. That's why I got it, but it's more a collectible Spyderco now. Certainly is useful for EDC. Oh, it's a fantastic knife. It's fine. You know, there's no major issues it has for EDC tasks. It'll be just fine. It's got good construction. Great blade, still great heat treatment. Super sharp blade, but there's not really a whole lot else going on here where I'm like, oh man, you got to get this knife. It's got this, and this. I can't really, for its price point when it was made back in the day, hell no. It's just too expensive. It's more for the novelty factor. It's more for its aesthetics. but at the same time, you have to want its aesthetics in the first place. So objectively speaking, we have kind of a medium-sized, though albeit cramped, knife, but it is very functional. So it is cool, but it is weird, and it's expensive. There you go. There's the Spyderco Zulu. Very interesting knife. I do like it. It's just I can't really recommend it unless you really, really, really want this aesthetic. You want the way it looks, and yeah, sure, you'll like it. It's functional other than that, but personally, it's not my favorite. It's just a very odd kind of collectible Spyderco at this point. But hey, these things are definitely valuable. We have a great blade steel, great lockup, carries fine. Like sculpting work on the G10 again. Got good deployment, flicks out very fast. Interesting blade right here. Despite looking weird, it is a functional blade. So there you go, Spyderco Zulu, in case you were curious. A very interesting knife.